Well, we truly stand on a precipice, and these two in the picture have such a big decision to make. Welcome to Glasgow Rangers Nation, your everyday Rangers channel run by the fans for you, the fan guys. You don't want to miss out on any of the great content. Hit the sub, it is all free for you. Anyway, look, news obviously last night that Michael Beale had been sacked as Rangers manager. In my opinion, the right decision taken by the board. Yes, an odd time to announce it, Sunday night, but in my opinion, the right decision to take. In terms of his overall record, his win percentage wasn't that bad at all. But he's got to be judged on more than just a win percentage, especially in a league that is as weak as the SPFL is, where you obviously only have, in theory, Rangers and Celtic competing for the trophies season in, season out. But in my opinion, it had to be taken. A decision had to be taken because we were in danger of becoming the Espanyol to Celtic's Barcelona, the Borussia Dortmund to Celtic's Bayern Munich. It was a situation where we could have very much faced the fact that Scotland became a one-team league, very much as Germany is. So, look, it's the right move. Michael Beale has, for me, singly failed to get this right. He has singly failed as Rangers manager. Why do I think that? Well, a number of reasons. Number one, he has never beaten Celtic when it actually matters. He's lost semi-finals to them. He's lost cup finals to them. He's lost Old Firm league games when it actually mattered. The only game he ever beat Celtic in was a dead rubber that had nothing riding on it. Champions League qualifier against PSV Eindhoven, blown. Game against Aberdeen, critical at the end of last season when they had slipped up. We go and blow it again. It is a situation that Beale has singly failed in every game that's ever mattered to actually deliver a victory for this team. You've got to also put on top of that as well the fact that the style and the identity is non-existent at this moment in time. This team go out there and play some of the most boring football I've ever seen a Rangers team play. So much backwards, sideways. It is untrue. So there is no style, there is no identity, there is no tactics. And players, to me, don't look like they know what they should be doing out there. They look lost. And that is down to the manager, not just down. And I know the players have some part in this. I get that. 100% understand the players have let the manager down with their performances. But part of it comes down to how they are organised, how they are motivated, and what they are told to do. And it's quite clear from looking at the games and the performances that Rangers have put on this season, and even towards the end of last season, the players don't have a clue where they should be playing, how they should be playing, or what tactics, style, and identity. Add to that as well the fact that this squad is Michael Beale's. It is his. He is singly responsible for bringing in all these players. He negotiated the deals. He agreed the contracts. He's left us in a position with a worse squad, in my opinion, than we finished last season with. We've got a situation where we've lost players who had talent, players who've had skilled players and ability. Antonio Cholak replaced with Cyril Dessers. Fashion Sakala replaced by players like Abdallah Sima, Lammers, players like that who just aren't up to the task. At the end of the day, these players have failed Rangers and are failing the fans, but are failing their manager too. Raskin and Cantwell, I don't give him as much credit for. I think they were already targets before he even came and had been identified by the scouting network before Beale actually came to the club. So I don't actually give him any credit for those two. Look, yes, injuries are a concern at this moment in time. And I saw a great joke tonight that even our interim manager is now injured, which is just typical Rangers, isn't it? But news tonight, of course, the first bit of news to reflect on is the fact that these two have been placed in charge of the team on an interim basis. Stephen Davis and Alex Ray, two Rangers men who, in my opinion, will take no nonsense, will not allow players to put out half-arsed displays, because they are people who understand what it is to play for Rangers. They are people who understand what is expected to be a Rangers player. They have both played for the club. They have both been part of clubs that have been successful. So, in my opinion, these two are the right people on the interim basis. Alex Ray is someone who has a UEFA license. I know Stephen Davis doesn't have his at the moment, which obviously is vital for Europe. Alex Ray, again, is someone who will not take any nonsense whatsoever. Now, the news, obviously, last night was that Beale's gone, but not just Beale. Banfield, who, as we all know, gave that absolute car crash disaster of an interview the other day. Damien Matthew, Harry Watling, and Jack Adey have all gone. You know, these two have been joined by Stephen Smith, Brian Gilmore, and goalkeeping coach Colin Stewart in taking over the running of the team. So, you know, fair play. We've got to get behind these guys now. We've got to get behind Davis. We've got to get behind Ray. We've got to get behind Smith, Gilmore, and Stewart and give them and wish them every success in the next few games or however many games they are left in charge for. Look, the board don't need to. Board cannot. Never mind, cannot rush this decision now. This is an absolutely vital decision. You know, John Bennett did say at the end of his quote, they will remain in charge for as long as it takes to make the right appointment. And for me, these two men have now such an important decision to take. They have such vital things to kind of, you know, to weigh up, to draw together, to try and find the right man to take this club forward. You know, at the end of the day, this appointment has to be right, because if it gets, we cannot be in a situation where we are constantly hiring and sacking, where there is a revolving door on the front of Ibrox. That cannot be allowed to go on. And for me, these two have such an important job now in finding the right man for the job. It has to be, in my opinion, someone with some experience, someone who can come in and organize this team, who can get a tune out of these players. I don't think, you know, looking at these players, looking at this squad, this is not necessarily a bad squad of players. They're not bad footballers. They don't become bad footballers overnight. Todd Cantwell, Nicholas Raskin are quality players. John Suter is a good player. He's a good footballer. Jack Butland is an excellent goalkeeper. You know, Danilo, I think, you know, once he's back from injury, will actually prove to be a good buy. Abdallah Seamer's had a little bit more about him recently and has looked a little bit more with it. There are players on this squad who are capable of becoming real talents. Matondo has done very well this season. Tom Lawrence is a quality player. Kamar Roof, when he is fit, is probably the best striker at the club. You know, there are players there that a new manager with some experience, some nous, some know-how can actually get a tune out of and turn it into a decent squad and into a decent team. For me as well, I think Rangers the board in Bennett and Bisgrove really need to sit down and evaluate what is the best way forward now with the management of our first team squad. Do we need a director of football? And if we do, that director of football, I think, has to be appointed before the manager, because then the director of football plays a part in the appointment of the manager. I think we do need a director of football. I think the fact that we allowed Michael Beale to do everything this summer has proven to be an absolute disaster. It's his fault that we have these players that, you know, maybe the Dessers, for example, of this world, are on long-term contracts that we cannot get rid of. I think it's worth remembering that Cyril Dessers is 28 years old and is not going to improve massively over the next few games. So, look, at the end of the day, this is the situation we are in. James Bisgrove and John Bennett have such an important decision to take now, such a vital move. They've got to get this excuse me, this set up right. The director of football and also a new manager. Now, in terms of who the next manager is going to be, look, I don't know who the next manager is going to be. There are lists of names out there, and I'm sure over the next few days we will see lists emerge of who these two are looking at. These are the current odds So Kevin Muscat is the favourite at 7-2, Jesse March at 7-1, Ralph Hasselhutti at 8-1, Kjetil Knutsen at 9-1, Marcelo Bielsa at 10-1, Rino Gattuso at 12-1, Graham Potter at 14-1, Ruud van Nistelrooy 16s, Scott Parker, Vias Boas, Jon Dahl Thomas, and the Blackburn manager, and Derek McInnes, who I know is not a popular appointment amongst a lot of Rangers fans. Muscat, you know, is someone who has worked under Postecoglou, is a very attack-minded manager, a very aggressive manager, ex-Rangers player. But again, does he fall into that rookie, that inexperienced category? Jesse Marsh was a disaster when he was at Leeds. Hasselhutel got Southampton relegated. Knutsen, yes, he did it at Bodo Glimt. Can he do it anywhere else? Bielsa is certainly someone who has a lot of talent, but looking at his age, is he, you know, the sort of player, sort of manager we want? Gattuso is with Marseille. Potter has allegedly already turned us down. You know, what is the right appointment? What is the right manager? You know, the board have got to make that decision. I can sit here and spout forth about who I want, you know, and say, I want this manager, that manager, X manager, Y manager. But the real truth of the matter is, and you all know this, I have no say, we have no say who the manager is. James Bisgrove and John Bennett will decide who our manager is. But it's got to be someone, in my opinion, who has experience, who can come in and organise this team and get this team playing again in a Rangers style. It has to be someone who comes in and, for me, gets Rangers to realise the one central fact that is solely missing from this team. The fact that we are Glasgow Rangers. We are not Hearts, Hibs or Aberdeen. And for me, we give the opposition far too much respect. We allow the opposition, you know, we go into a game and for me, we worry too much about what the opposition are going to do. Now, yes, okay, when you are playing in Europe against top European teams, you do have to do that to some degree. But in Scotland, do you have to do that? I would say not. You know, you look at that lot across the city. They don't do that. They don't fear anybody. They go, they play them. And that's why they beat them, because they go in there with the attitude of, we are so much more superior than these. We don't need to worry about them. We will play our style. We won't worry about what they're going to do. They've got to worry about what we're going to do. And for too long now, Rangers have gone into games with this attitude that, oh, well, we've got to worry about player X and player Y and this style and this manager because they've done this and they've done that. For heaven's sake, this is not the way forward. When Rangers have been successful under Walter Smith, under Graham Souness, under Dick Advocat, and Alex McLeish, it was when we had that attitude that we are Rangers, we will go and impose our style, our play on you. And that is something we have not done over the last few games, over the last few seasons, even since 55. It's something this new manager, whoever he is, has to impose on his team and impose on opposition teams, that they come and they fear us again. And we turn Ibrox into a place to be feared. And when we turn up at away grounds, they fear the fact that we are coming and they worry about the fact that they're going to get an absolute beating on the park. You know, that's the way forward. It has to be the way forward. And if these players can't do that, you move them on and you bring in players who can do that. Like I said, we are now on the precipice of a decision that has to be right. It cannot be rushed. It cannot be wrong, because we cannot be sitting here in 12 months' time saying this manager needs to go. He's useless. He's playing awful football. We're no further forward. We're even further behind them again. It cannot be allowed to happen. And the board have to get this decision right for me. And it's a massive decision. They have to fix this now. Well, guys, let me know what you think in the comments below. Who would you like to see coming in? And what are your reflections on Michael Beale's time at Rangers? Thanks for watching, guys. As always, please hit the sub, ring the notification bell. It does help our channel to keep on growing. And as always, there's two things I need you to do for me. Number one, smash the like. And number two, remember always, we are the people.